All right. Welcome back, everybody. We are back for part 2 with Mimika Cooney. She is the creator of Unstick Your Mind, Mindset Mastery Method. And if you didn't join us for last week's episode, you want to definitely go back and listen to that. We're going to talk about neuroscience and faith-based coaching and how she helps people get unstuck, creating beautiful lives they are in love with, stepping into their highest potential. So let's get her back on, and we'll start with our Rat Race Reboot.
The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. This is the United Podcast Network.
Welcome to Rat Race Reboot. I'm your host, Laura Noel. And as a certified coach and former 27-year military leader, each week I provide bite-sized mindset pivots that will help you reset your mind, reawaken your spirit, and regain your control.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back. We had a great conversation, Mimika and I, about mindset, about her journey in pivoting some of her ways of thinking, where she was in the grind and in the rat race and just kind of feeling like she was crashing and burning, to just emerging from that much stronger, empowering herself, and then learning to empower others. And so I wanted to continue this conversation and be mindful, of course, of our time last week. So just to recap, a couple of the things that she shared was when things started to shift with her, is she started to become aware of her thoughts, and she carved out the time to do that. And then actually started questioning, shining the light of inquiry on her thinking and evaluating, do I want to believe that? Is this might feel true. It feels real, but is it true? And when she started doing that, things in her life started to shift, and as well as those who she coaches. So Mimika, welcome back. I wanted to check in with you because we left off talking about choice. And you were talking about how people oftentimes don't realize that they have choice. They have free will. They can choose how they think, anything they want. And I wanted to take this a little bit deeper and maybe talk about some people you've worked with, or maybe your own experience where you were faced with a choice and a deep-rooted belief that you had about being in the rat race and working in this particular way, and what that looked like when you shifted it.
Definitely. Well, we definitely are all born with a choice. That is part of the human experience, is our ability to choose. Now, the difference is a lot of people in the world just, in life in general, just feel like they don't have control over their lives, and they feel like they're a victim to their circumstances. Now, but here's the good news. If you take 100% responsibility for 100% of your results, that's when your life changes. Because it's when we think about what we're thinking about, we start to challenge and differentiate the difference between a truth and a lie. Like saying, it feels right, but is this true? Like the way I was raised, or maybe this is what I learned. Maybe this doesn't suit me, or this just feels wrong. Like our spirit knows before our brain and our mind even can formulate something. And oftentimes, the world is so much about your mind. Like, it's all self, and whatever you do, you can do it, which is great. But if we have broken beliefs, it's kind of like a stuck record that's like, goes round and round and round. For those of us who were from the 70s and 80s, remember those record players. I remember having one of those.
Me too.
And, that's how our mind is. Our mind loves pattern. It loves routine. And the mind does not like change. So if you think about when things feel difficult and hard, it means you're pushing against your comfort zone. But that's a great thing, because nothing grows in a comfort zone. If you can stretch past that feeling uncomfortable, just like going to the gym, when you first go and do a workout, I'm sure, the first few days, it feels hard. You feel sore and achy, and you feel stiff for days after. But as you keep momentum and you keep going, you start growing. And the growth is really where the fun part is. And seeing that development and transformation, it kind of speeds up. So I have this a lot with my clients, and I've had experience with many women in different arenas, and particularly like I actually worked with a clinical psychologist who had gone through a very hard, difficult divorce, and her confidence was shot. And the thing is like, even though she's clinically educated to know the psychology of things, sometimes we need more than just knowing the psychology or the neuroscience. We need more of a heart-based approach, which is, who am I and why am I on earth? Why has God made me this way? And how can I better find myself when I feel like I'm getting lost in the noise, lost in the sea of expectation and oftentimes expectations we put on ourselves. Yes. We think that it's the outside world, but when we can realize and take that 100% responsibility for our lives, then we get agency. Then we get control and we realize, you know what? This is up to me. If I don't like this job, I can resign and go find another one. If I don't like this situation and this where this road is taking me, I don't have to just be a victim and be pulled along. And that's the difference, is for those who stay stuck forever and those who actually make a change, is you have to come to a point where you realize it's entirely up to you. So once you've reformatted that and realized what you want out of life, and work through the process. And that's what I do well. Like, I like to call myself a personal trainer for your mind. So personal trainer is going to make you work. You're going to sweat and you probably will cry a few times, but it's totally worth it when you build the muscle and the lifestyle, the mind muscle of how to approach life, so that it doesn't matter what circumstances you have, because life is 50-50. You're going to get the good with the bad. Just like the earth is, two different poles. You need the positive and the negative for things to work. And oftentimes the world is like, oh, you've always got to be happy. You've always got to be happy. And if you're unhappy, oh, something must be wrong. Or, either pop a pill or take food or eat food to make yourself feel better. And it's not a criticism of that. It's just, we've never questioned it. Like, why is that my go-to resource? Instead of thinking about what I'm thinking about, what is making me unhappy, instead of staying in denial and inevitably just keeping ourselves stuck. So part of what I do with my clients is really get them, first of all, step one is awareness. Mm-hmm. You can't help and you can't fix what you don't know. And you can't help someone who doesn't want to be helped. I have a lot of clients who say to me, oh, well, my husband and my child. And I'm like, listen, honey, we can't fix them, but we can fix you. And oftentimes when we fix you, it trickles into the rest of your relationships. People does. See the change.
Yes.
But I always say, I'm a firm believer that, the husband might be the head of the home, but the woman's the heart. And if the heart is broken, everyone in the family feels it. If mom's having a bad day and she's, oh my God, losing her tonsils over something, yelling at the kids, it's going to create a whole different atmosphere for everybody in the house. So when mom feels confident, when mom feels calm, when she feels like she has it together, and oftentimes we learn to function even when we don't feel like we have it together, because here's the good news, ladies. You can have it all, but not at the same time, which is why we have the joys of delegating, or magic word, saying no.
Oh,
it's
fabulous.
I know I will not bake cupcakes for the dance team. That's not what I do, but I will buy some at the store if you want me to.
Right.
You just know what you can and can't do. You start to become more confident. And as I say, the process I always take my clients through, and I always say to them, we need to slow you down to speed you up.
Yes.
You cannot drive around the racetrack with a broken down tire, with a head gasket about to blow, or with you out of gas. We need to take you aside, put you in the garage, fix the junk, get rid of the junk in the trunk, fix, the carburetor, and get you some retires and get something new to put you back on the road so you can function. You can go faster and you can get there where you want to go without the crash and burn.
Yeah.
So it really is taking the pause. And I know this is hard, especially for us.
It is really hard.
Go-getters, high achievers. When someone says rest, I'm like, say what? What do you mean? So does it mean I should sit on the couch and just maybe check email? Rest can be very uncomfortable, because our brains think we have to constantly be in that gotta go, which is actually your brain's fight or flight mechanism. Mm-hmm. And let's be honest, when you are busy and you're getting stuff done, working on adrenaline, it does feel good in the moment, right? But it comes at a cost. Our bodies cannot maintain that pace. It's like, I think of, putting your finger in the plug, electrocuted, like, yeah, this feels fabulous. But until you take your finger out the plug, and then there's a hot mess at the end. So that's my encouragement today to everybody, is just to think about what you're thinking about. and to realize you have more choice than you think. And when you make that choice and you decide either enough is enough or something's got to change, and you are committed, not just interested, there's a difference between interested and commitment.
Yes.
Because when you're committed, you will do whatever it takes, sunshine, rain. Like if you are determined to get somewhere, you already are prepared to put up with whatever comes your way because you know that the result is worth the effort.
That is gold right there. Are you committed or are you interested? Right? And there's so many people out there who are kind of interested in having a life, but they're not committed. They're not willing to do whatever it takes to get there, legal, moral, ethical, but they're not willing to put in the effort. And it's not necessarily physical effort of doing something. The effort is more in your thinking than actual physical doing. And I find the same thing. People have a difficult time in slowing down, but that's where you broaden your focus, and that's how you can tap into your creativity, because you're not so laser focused on a tiny little task or problem. You're open up to all of the solutions that are always around you. I love that.
Definitely.
Yeah. So what are you working on now? What are you excited about? And how can people get in touch with you?
Oh, for sure. Well, the best place to find me is my website, which is home based, which is mimikacooney.com. And I'll spell that for you. It's MIMIKACOONEY.com. And I have a bunch of resources. I have my own podcast, so they're welcome to come and subscribe and listen to that.
Great.
And my signature coaching program is called Unstick Your Mind. I have a community where we are bringing together like-minded women on a mission, faith-based. We have a lot of tools. We have masterclasses and mastermind, because I really believe that in the power of community and connection. We've all been so isolated especially over the last few years, that women need to verbally process. We need to oh my gosh, I can't believe what happened. And then growth happens when you realize you're not alone. Yeah. You're not going crazy. You're exactly where you need to be. And even though this feels uncomfortable and growth can feel messy, you're exactly where you need to be in order to get to where you're going. So I would encourage everyone to connect with me online. I hang out. I'm on all social media platforms. My favorites are Instagram and LinkedIn. But definitely connect with me. Come to my website. I've actually got some free training that I'm always hosting. So definitely, and let me know you heard me on the podcast. I'd love to connect.
Oh my gosh. Well, I know that people got so much value over this conversation. And just to kind of sum up some of the things that you worked on in order to get you from where you were to where you are now is awareness of your thoughts, questioning those thoughts. I wrote down taking responsibility for your thinking and getting clear on, okay, if this is not what I want, what do I want? And this is all about even the repetition of slowing down. You are creating, we could talk for hours, and I know we don't have that kind of time, about neurons. Neurons that fire together, wire together. That's Hebb's law. So if you're in the grind, even though you're not happy there, you're conditioned to continue to do that. So it takes repetition, not all day on a Sunday, but every day, a little bit. It doesn't have to be laborious either, but it's the repetition of this new way of thinking that eventually you'll look back and you'll need a telescope to see where you came from, because you'll be a different person. We need more light workers in the world like you. I am so grateful that we had this time together. And I can't wait to hear people's comments, and definitely connect with Mimika. She is an amazing soul, and she'll get you steered in the right direction. So thank you for joining us on the show today.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you are welcome. Well, before we close out, we are going to end our show like we always do, and that is in taking inspired action. And that's where we get to think and breathe and reflect on what it is we truly want. Let that bubble up into our awareness. So take a deep breath in through your nose and exhale. And take another deep breath and exhale fully and completely. And I want you to consider what we talked about today. Getting out of the rat race by taking control over your thinking. Becoming aware of your thinking, why you're thinking, what you're thinking. Taking responsibility for your thoughts, and then getting clarity on what it is you truly desire. What will you apply from today's conversation to your life now? Because if you're just listening to this and not taking action and not making a decision and not taking a piece of this and pulling it into your life in some way, shape, or form, then this is just intellectual knowledge. So maybe today it's about spending a little bit of time in mindfulness, taking pauses throughout the day just to check in with yourself. What am I thinking right now? How am I feeling right now? Maybe it's taking it a step further. Why is it when I'm in this conversation with this person, I feel like I'm triggered and reacting in a certain way? Why is that? Now you're questioning your thinking. And maybe for you, it's to say, enough. Enough. I am not letting somebody else dictate how I feel and the decisions I make. I declare I am taking responsibility right now. Think about what you want. What do you truly desire? If you could be, do, or have anything you want, serve in the way that fills your heart, what would you be doing? Who are you serving with? And how does it feel being you? And as ideas bubble up to the top of your mind, just write them down. This is what I call taking inspired action toward your vision. Thank you so much for joining us today for another episode of Rat Race Reboot and our interview with Mimika Cooney. We had a wonderful time today. Listen to episode 1, the previous one where we started part 1 of this conversation, because you don't want to miss it. So many great stories in that conversation. Remember, everything is created twice, first in your mind and then in physical form. If you got a lot of value out of today's episode or any of our episodes, go to ratracereboot.com, subscribe, get our free downloads that we have for you to start working on your mindset. Leave us a review. Follow us on your favorite podcast platform. That's how we get the word out to more people. But until then, have a wonderful rest of your week, and we will see you next week.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.